soaring upwards of 1.5 billion people, India is a country bursting at the seams with history, diverse food, unique architecture, and unparalleled spiritual dedication. From a Western perspective, especially for those never having traveled to developing nations, prepare to be tossed around in a veritable blender of Indian thrill, intrigue, and complexities. From an intensely conservative lifestyle that frowns upon drinking, smoking, or even holding hands in public, to a deeply rooted caste system, Westerners, while still revered as rich and unique due to appearance, are quietly judged for our loose morals in behavior and dress. Making huge strides towards modernization, local frustration with old perceptions of the country are increasing. Snake charming is no longer prevalent and is actually illegal. And despite Hollywood's obsession with documenting poverty and despair, India also boasts lush green forests, pristine beaches, luxury hotels, and high-class universities. A popular UNESCO heritage site is Qutb Minar, celebrating the Muslim conquest of India. The Iranian-style minaret, standing at 5 stories tall, was completed in the year 1220. While it could no longer be climbed, inscriptions are still clearly visible adorning its sides. The area also features a number of other unique architectural features from different eras, including a mosque and the Iron Pillar of Delhi. The Lotus Temple, a unique visual icon of New Delhi, is a Baha'i house of worship that welcomes all, regardless of a religion. While no ritualistic ceremonies may be performed on site, the Baha'i believe in a single, unifying God and a return to moral values. Scriptures from any religion may be read or chanted, but public speaking or fundraising is prohibited. As one of the most visited sites in the country, this definitely should not be missed. Taking the lead with 53%, agriculture is the largest employer in India. At 20%, textiles is a thriving industry that produces some of the world's finest cashmere, cottons, silks, velvets, and chiffon. If you're sporting business wear, don't be surprised if a local sweeps you into his shop and starts taking your measurements for a new suit. Unfortunately, the industry is also hugely responsible for child labor, employing over 400,000 under the age of 18. The ISKCON temple houses followers of a branch of Hinduism that believe in the god Krishna above all others. Only coming to fruition in the year 1486 and being the only monotheistic religion in Hinduism, followers are very proactive about recruiting new members. Step inside for a blessing from a guru. But keep in mind, photos inside temples are disrespectful and shoes are to be taken off and kept in lockers outside. Escape the busy city streets and stroll through the 16th century quartered gardens at Humayun's tomb. Admire the large amounts of red sandstone and head inside to visit the final resting place of this Mughal emperor and his family. Or if you want a cocktail party tidbit, ask a local guide to help describe how the style of tombs differs for both men and women. Stretching upwards of 90 acres, watch locals enjoy their downtime at the beautiful Lodi Gardens. Cute young couples adorn the vast stretches of grassy fields. But notice the lack of public kissing and hand-holding that's taboo in Indian culture. The India Gate was built to commemorate the 70,000 Indian Army soldiers that died during the First World War. Now a popular spot, tourists should be very wary of pickpockets, camera thieves, and ruthless entrepreneurs charging to take photos. Across India, there are 5 Jantar Mantars that were built around 1734 that were once used as astronomical tools to predict the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. From the largest sundial in the world and upwards of 13 other unique instruments, it, until recently, was also a popular place for public protests before the act was banned from the site. Jama Masjid is another Muslim mosque, this one dedicated to Shah Jahan, a Mughal emperor. It has been prone to terrorist attacks in recent years due to distaste from far right-wing groups claiming that semi-naked tourists have been allowed inside. The Red Fort, which housed the Mughal dynasty for 200 years, features a number of museums and ruins to walk amongst. Aside from influencing the architectural styles across India, this location is also used for the Prime Minister's annual Independence Day broadcast. Visiting the Spice Bowl of the world means it's a necessity to visit its most prominent spice market. Hop on a tuk-tuk, negotiate the price well in advance, and navigate the tight city roads. An Indian meal isn't complete unless it's lathered in spices and sauces. Fresh saffron, turmeric, coriander would all be a crucial miss if left unsampled. As you'll quickly learn, there's a masala blend for everything from meats to fruit. Tourists should be very wary of adulterated, impure spices and how they appear to airport security and carry-on luggage. Join the new wave of Hinduism architecture at the spiritual campus at Swaminarayan, Akshardham. Built incredibly recently in 2005, enjoy modern words of wisdom on an armada of stone elephants with inscriptions below, a hall of robotic dioramas, a massive theater, a boat ride, and a musical fountain night show that could compete with the best back home. If you're looking to spice things up a little bit and trade in a mosque or two for a Sikh temple, Gurudwara Bangla Sahib is the most prominent house of worship for Sikhs in New Delhi. The large well at the rear of the temple is revered as having unique healing properties. The kitchen is also open to all races and religions for a free meal. Foreigners are reminded that hair coverings are strongly encouraged, if not required, and provided free of charge. If you're still questing for more temples, check out the goddess of wealth, fortune, beauty, and prosperity, along with her consort at the Sri Laxmi Narayan Mandir. With ample sunscreen and bottled water, break out your fedora and adventurous spirit as you visit the Tughlaqabad fort in southern New Delhi. Freely roam these 700-year-old ruins. Very short-lived, it was abandoned only 6 years later. Tourists should definitely not enter the enclosed forests due to personal security risks like muggings. Built incredibly recently in the 1970s, Chhatapur Temple is a place of worship for Katyayani, the goddess of vengeance and victory, where locals pray for marriage. With 3 locations for Dilli Haat in Delhi, souvenirs are bountiful. With only some long-term permanent shops, every visit will be unique, with rotating handicraft vendors. Prices are always inflated for tourists, and bargaining can be uncomfortable when coming from a country where it's not commonplace. As a general rule, start your bargaining at about half price of what is asked, keeping in mind this is their livelihood, so don't squabble over pennies. Feel like you're descending into haunted ruins for buried treasure as you visit Agra Sen Ki Baoli, one of the most popular local stepwells in New Delhi. While other, more elaborate designs exist elsewhere in the country, these facilities used to collect rainwater for storage during the dry season. The Dandi March, also known as the Salt March, was a prolific demonstration of non-violent civil disobedience in India led by Gandhi that gained worldwide attention. Locals were exhausted by British rule, which deemed their salt reclamation tactics illegal, heavily taxed it elsewhere, and tried to forcibly stop it. The Holi Festival, which is celebrated near the end of February or early March, is a spectacle of colors unlike anything across the globe. The night prior, Hindus perform rituals in front of a bonfire, praying for the destruction of internal evil. In New Delhi, it has become a celebration of dance, food, joy, singing, music, and of course, colors. People of all ages take to the streets to throw and smear colored powder. While in southern India, the occasion is for more solemn religious practices. The Taj Mahal, being one of the 7 wonders of the world, will be the first question your friends ask about your trip when returning home. Take an adequate amount of time to thoroughly enjoy the fountains and landscaping around this Islamic mausoleum. Mausoleum? Yep, not a temple. It was built by Shah Jahan to tomb his favorite wife when she passed. Yeah, favorite wife. He also cut off the hands of the 14,000 workers who built the Taj Mahal so that they could never build another one to match. A duplicate was eventually attempted, but all in black. But for unknown reasons, the foundation couldn't be completed. The danger of driving in India is second only to being a pedestrian. For any children who grew up in the 80s loving Frogger, welcome to your new dream. Planning to cross a road? Make eye contact with traffic and begin walking promptly but steadily across the busy city street. Traffic will slow down or drive around you. Locals drive incredibly defensively, even if the rules of the road seem to be optional. Accidents are more likely back home than they are here. Hiring a private prepaid driver via your hotel's concierge is the best way to transfer from New Delhi to Agra for the day. Always ask for an outside taxi, not the hotel's taxi, as it will be substantially more affordable, and depending on traffic, the route should take about 3 hours one way. After the lengthy drive down to Agra to visit the Taj Mahal, make the best of your day and visit the Agra Fort. Originally built to house the emperors of the Mughal dynasty, a couple hundred years later it was defeated by the British. The evidence of that battle is still very evident today, with cannonball holes adorning some of the walls. Nahargarh Fort helped develop a defense ring around the city of Jaipur, the Pink City, with its Great Wall of China-style architecture and resting in a strategic spot atop the ridgeline of local hills. While its strength was never put to the test in battle, it became an important place for the signing of diplomatic agreements. For tourists, it offers a spectacular view of the city below. Known as Jal Mahal, or the Water Palace, is a palace situated in the center of Mansagar Lake. While entry is not permitted to tourists, spectacular viewpoints are visible along the lakeside that exude an unparalleled sense of tranquility at sunset. The city palace in Jaipur was concocted of a mixture of different architectural styles, including European, Rajput, and Islamic. While the entire complex isn't open to the public as it still acts as a royal residence, just behind it is the Jai Niwas Garden, where many locals and a plethora of monkeys still hang out to play. Never attempt to feed or pet the monkeys, as they can become protective or even violent. Hawa Mahal, constructed of the same red and pink sandstone which gives Jaipur its Pink City nickname, was a royal residence. Its honeycomb-like design was intentional so that ladies could observe day-to-day life on the street without having to appear in public with their face coverings. The design was also functional and allowed air to ventilate freely, hence its English translation, Palace of the Winds. Built primarily of marble and red sandstone, Amir Fort or Amir Palace is simply put the single most important fort for any tourist to visit in Jaipur. You can skip the rest if you only have time for one. Calling it a palace barely does it justice. With its broad courtyards, detailed architecture, and panoramic city view, its crown jewel is still its Sheesh Mahal. Literally translated as Crystal Palace, this building is adorned with miniature mirrors completely covering its walls. Jagar Fort is a typical fort on the hillside of Jaipur, which does have a stunning courtyard and a view that overlooks Amir Fort, but can be skipped for the average tourist. Located right in the heart of Jaipur near many hotels, the Sargasuli Tower is a quick climb that offers a spectacular close-up bird's-eye view of downtown. Climb the hills of Jaipur to trek through what feels like a mountain pass via Galtaji Temple to Ram Gopalji Temple, where monkeys run in hordes. It's locally known as Monkey Temple, and for that exact reason. If you're kicking around Jaipur in the evening with some time to kill, think about checking out Jaipur's famous Raj Mandir cinema. But be prepared to put some of your Hindi language skills to the test. This theater opened in 1976, but tickets can be bought online. Have you had one curry too many and missing home a little bit? Drop by for a colonial-feeling afternoon tea, or should I say champagne, at the Taj Mahal Palace. Dishes are served outside or in, with all the luxury and luster you can fathom. The haunted village of Bangur gets its reputation from an ancient legend that tells of a black wizard who fell in love with a princess. He whipped up a love potion to win her heart, but she grew wise to his trickery and threw the potion onto a boulder, which then in turn fell from a cliff and crushed the poor wizard. Before his fatal moments, he made a curse that the city would be destroyed shortly, and no one would ever be able to live within its precincts. Still, to this day, warning signs appear around the premises banning anyone from entering after sunset. Was this due to criminal activity or hauntings? Chanbauri Stepwell near the village of Apaneri is a massive geometrical wonder. 3,500 tiny steps descend 13 stories to a water cistern. This is the same location where Bruce Wayne is stuck in a pit with other prisoners and must make that leap of faith in the movie The Dark Knight Rises. Wander amongst the Kanheri caves near Mumbai for some impressive basalt relief work. Dating all the way back to the 1st century BC, numerous examples of Buddhist architecture is prominent, from stupas, which are Buddhist shrines, to viharas, their living quarters. While a bit of a drive from downtown Mumbai, hiring a private driver for the day and tacking on the global Vipassana Pagoda will make for an excellent adventure. The Global Vipassana Pagoda is a massive, golden Buddhist meditation hall northwest of Mumbai that symbolizes peace and harmony. The easiest access from Mumbai is through Uber or a local service called Ola, but you'll need a local Indian SIM for that one. Then, by ferry. Be sure to plan ample time for that ferry, as you may be waiting 2 to 3 sailings, as lineups can get quite long and are very packed. Uber is incredibly affordable in India, and for a full day of service often won't cost more than $20 US. Mumbai, previously known as Bombay, is well known for its massive Bollywood film industry and its luxurious celebrity homes. Producing over 300 feature films of the nearly 2,000 in India overall, it is one of the country's largest producers. Film set access, though, is heavily restricted, and visitation can only be done through tours. Dharavi, featured in the well-known Slumdog Millionaire movie, is India's largest slum, with over 700,000 people. With nearly 5,000 businesses and 15,000 single-room factories, pottery, textiles, and recycling are just a few of the major industries. Locals find it increasingly irritating to be a subject of poverty photography. Please ask permission first. Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, also known as Victoria Terminus, is one of many active railway stations. Many locals will commute between major cities via overnight trains for a fraction of the cost of flights. While not practical for shorter visits to India, it still makes an excellent photo op. While not to be confused with the India Gate in New Delhi, the Gateway of India in Mumbai is a very similar design. It was recently completed in 1924 to celebrate the landing of the British royalty in 1911. A popular spot for tourists, don't be surprised with hordes of locals looking to get a photo with a foreigner. Chor Bazaar, also known as the Thieves' Market, in legend was known for stolen goods, but in modern reality hosts a huge array of legitimate, second-hand, vintage goods. A mild sanctuary of nature amidst the busy city, the Hanging Gardens of Mumbai are a popular spot for morning yoga or a run. While not a spectacular tourist attraction, it's commonly packed with locals. Haji Ali Dargah, an Islamic mosque, is unique for its placement. Located jetting out into the ocean, visitors must trek along a walkway magnetized with garbage. While not the most scenic journey or even mosque, the placement makes it an icon of Mumbai. While removing your shoes is a must, so is washing your feet prior to entry. Nearing 150 years old, Laxmi Dhobi Ghat is a massive open-air laundry facility. Watch employees hard at work soaking, bleaching, scrubbing, and wringing out clothing before it is hung out to dry in the open air. Individual articles of clothing can be washed for as little as 5 Indian rupees. Everyone from large corporations, second-hand dealers, and families send in their wearables. From Mumbai, fly into Aurangabad and take a day drive in a private car out to see the Ellora and Ajanta caves. Ajanta, located much farther out of the city, boasts basalt caves carved out of a stiff cliff face above a river that is bursting at the seams during the wet season. The caves date back to the 2nd century BC and contain Buddhist paintings and carved stone sculptures. They were likely originally a place for worship and accommodation for monks. In contrast, the Ellora caves are minutes driving from Aurangabad and are substantially more tourist-packed, and with good reason. While lacking the hillside design, the sheer detail of the Hindu and Buddhist artwork in the architecture is astonishing. With over 100 caves at the site, it makes an easy choice if you only have time to visit one of the 2. And located among a popular trade route in the past, they were not only monasteries, temples, and a rest stop, but also an important commercial hub. Kerala, a state in the south of India, is known for its stunning natural beauty, Hawaiian-style palm beaches, rolling hills bursting with tea and coffee plantations, and the lush backwaters which make for an amazing experience that breaks stereotypes of India. Visit small villages to see lime production from crushed seashells and also rope production, while gondoliered through a maze of mangroves. While many opportunities exist to see a variety of animals in the wild throughout India, the more adventurous may opt in for a flight out to Raipur, a lengthy car drive, and a visit to the Khana Tiger Reserve. Chock full of animals in this natural environment, visitors are almost guaranteed to witness a tiger strolling nearby their open-air jeep. Tours begin just before sunrise, which is prime time for a sighting. Varanasi, one of the major spiritual hubs, is uniquely known for its position along the holy Ganges River. A number of ghats or stairs walk directly into the waters. At the Manikarnika Ghat, witness the burning of human bodies atop piles of wood, which are then later remitted into the river. It is believed that salvation can be found when cremated here. It's not only rude, but completely forbidden to take photographs during the sacred ceremony. Tourists are sternly reminded to treat this as a cultural learning experience, not a chance to update their Instagram. On the lighter side, optionally hop a boat or sit front row at the evening Aarti ceremony at the Dasasvamedh Ghat. Watch as tourists and locals alike light candles to send them floating down the Ganges River as a fire offering to the goddess Ganga. The ritual is said to dispel darkness. Live devotees also perform a spectacular waterside ceremony in prayer to the deities. Just slightly north of Varanasi is the township of Sarnath, where Buddha practiced his first sermon in the deer park after attaining enlightenment. Some Buddhists believe that their practice in life is incomplete unless at some point they make a pilgrimage here. As a Westerner, though, seeing armies of monks take selfies at a stupa felt quite out of character. A contemporary attraction added to Sarnath is the Garden of Spiritual Wisdom. Beautifully landscaped and primarily designed in English, it features a variety of exhibits and sculptures to relay the basics of Buddhism. The garden contains herbal plants that make up the basics of Ayurveda, a 5,000-year-old Indian and yogic natural healing solution. Regardless of your faith, the park makes for a relaxing 20-minute stroll. The Golden Temple in the city of Amritsar is the holiest place of worship for Sikhs, with upwards of 100,000 visitors per day. Surrounded by a man-made pool used for healing and purification, it was once the target of persecution and destroyed by Muslim armies many times. Shoeless, of course, visitors may enter the temple and pay tribute as scripture is read continuously from the Adi Granth. In Sikhism, the langar or community kitchen is a fundamental part of their belief structure. Volunteers will sign up months in advance to participate in the setup, food prep, cooking, serving, and dishwashing. People from any race, religion, caste, or gender may join for as many free meals as they can stomach, 12 hours a day, 365 days per year. Head slightly out of town to the only land border crossing, Wagah, between Pakistan and India, formerly known as Hindustan, for the lowering of the flag ceremony. While seemingly colonial in style, the ceremony is substantially more exotic and dance-like. The two countries split after World War II in an effort to curb bloodshed between Hindus and Muslims, but the ceremony today represents not just this rivalry, but also their brotherhood and cooperation.